Hello friends, how you doing? It's Alina, and in this video we're going to be diving into the 5 things you need to know all around the September 2021 new moon in Virgo. So if that's something that interests you, then let's get started. What is up, y'all? How you doing? I hope you're doing well. In this video, we're going to be diving into all things this new moon, September, why this final new moon of the summer's ending, will be an especially lucky time for setting personal intentions. We'll dive into the transits surrounding it, all things Virgo season and beyond. And at the end, I'll offer some custom new moon writing prompts so we can journal together and align more with this new moon energy. Also, quick announcement, the pre-sales for the 2022 Auralign Astrology planners will be happening this month, the month of September. So be sure to go to the link in the description or on the screen to sign up for the email list. That way you'll be notified as soon as they open. These planners are my creation, and they include not only notifications for all of the major astrological events happening in 2022, but also dedicated full and new moon ritual pages and much more. I've been working all summer on the new designs and features. In fact, here's a sneak peek. And I really want to make sure that y'all, anyone who's really interested in getting it, are able to get it without any type of issues like we had last year. With all of that said, let's jump in. First things first, why is this new moon so important? The new moon marks the beginning of a new lunar cycle. And just as we discussed in my previous full moon video, where all full moons occur when the moon and sun form an opposition with each other, where they're on opposite sides of the zodiac wheel, a new moon occurs when the moon and sun form a conjunction. Many people believe that just as we see with the new moon, the sun's light waning all the way to the moon's darkest point, that being the new moon, so too can our energy wane, and we can feel more called to draw our energy inward, to rest, reflect, and get clear on our intentions for the new cycle ahead. The new moon is almost like a monthly New Year's Eve and a constant reminder that we always have new opportunities for fresh starts. This is why we see many people doing things like new moon rituals, where they get present and usually grounded, especially with this earth sign Virgo energy, in nature or in their home, and then get clear through writing out their intentions moving forward or revisiting ones from the past. And following the new moon, just as we see the light building to its peak in the full moon, building momentum, so too can our intentions begin to build momentum energetically. To dive deeper into new moon rituals, you can check out how I do mine, and I'll link it on the screen and in the description box below. Now, with this new moon being in the analytical, helpful, and critical earth sign of Virgo, now can be an optimal time for formulating and reviewing past goals, specifically in the realms of all things Virgo. To answer our commonly asked questions in the comment section, a great way to narrow down what aspects of your life will be most impacted by this Virgo new moon is by looking at your natal chart and seeing where within it you have Virgo. Next, what transits will impact this new moon? First, on the night of the new moon, we see the sun and moon align in the sign of Virgo to create a trine aspect with Uranus. Now, as you may or may not know, trines in astrology describe when astral bodies come together and spark harmony and synchronicity between the 2 to 3 astral bodies' energies. And with Uranus being the planet of awakening, innovation, and sometimes sudden changes, along with this new moon being in the sign of Virgo, a sign of organization, being critical, analytical of the lives around us, this transit suggests that we will be more mentally primed for change, reviewing and improving upon our routines, work schedules, home life, organization, and things within that realm. What I find really interesting is that right before doing research into the transits around this new moon and seeing the signs that it's in and everything, I was already really thinking about and processing the idea of implementing more routines into my life. As a Gemini, and just as me, Alina, I have not ever really done well with routines or keeping them up, but I am still very productive in my own way. And I've actually been working through deeper self-acceptance around that, acknowledging that I have been able to do plenty of things in my life without these cookie cutter structures that a lot of times people in society tell us that we need to adhere to in order to access success or productivity. But more recently, I was thinking about how I could maybe create some type of routine around my work life at the very least to reduce my stress levels, and not as much routines that I've seen about like, waking up at 5 a.m. and doing these things that have worked for other people and not necessarily for me as an individual. So I find that to be really interesting, seeing as Uranus is really bringing in thinking outside of the box as well as Virgo, and it's all in alignment with creating order, organization, and a rhythm to things. Comment below if you're like me, you're able to be productive, get things done, but you don't necessarily have a fixed routine that you need to stick to. As well, we have Uranus currently in retrograde. It started on August 19th and will end on January 18th, but it's nothing to be too worried about. Uranus retrogrades are more subtle than they are stressful or over the top, like we usually associate with things like Mercury retrograde. And Mercury retrogrades are really more so here to help us process life changes and how we can implement those lessons into our life. And this more pragmatic energy is excellent for a time like this, with the new moon being a time of setting intentions, getting clear on our work, energy flow, routines, work-life balance, and how we can cultivate, support, or create schedules that allow us to flow more smoothly. Next up, we have Virgo's ruling planet of Mercury, along with Mars, the planet of order, structure, dominance, all being in the sign of Virgo. I think we're gonna have a total of 5 astral bodies in an earth sign during this new moon, which is very interesting. Now, this cluster of planetary energies all within this Virgo sign will really lend itself to our workflow, our ability to be more attentive and work on projects that are more detail oriented. And one final caveat in response to a common question I've gotten in my comment section is that while this new moon falls in the sign of Virgo, it will be in the constellation of Leo. Now, this discrepancy in signs is due to the precession of equinoxes. That being a difference in how we track time with the actual movement of the stars. It's kind of hard to explain, but a good way to explain it is the Mayan calendar. Many people realize that though the Mayan calendar said that things would happen in 2012, we see that because we track our years differently, where it takes off a day every single year compared to the Mayan calendar, there's a discrepancy in the years. So the Mayan calendar year of 2012 is our year of 2020. Now that's a whole other rabbit hole, but you see how there's a discrepancy in the years because of the way that our calendars work versus another's? Now, due to all of this, it has actually moved the sun signs a whole sign away from where it originally was when the constellations were named over 2,000 years ago. So I hope that this general explanation can help you better understand why you might hear every once in a while a discrepancy with the signs of the moon phases. Next, what should we expect to feel? I feel called to remind y'all that while new moons are associated with rest, reflection, lower energy, because we see that the energy is lower on the moon itself, there's no sun's reflection there. It's also important to acknowledge that many people can feel very energized during new moons, as this new moon time can spark a lot of inspiration and new ideas to implement things. I know for me, during new moons and sometimes full moons, I feel really called to clean my home and really just re-foster a sense of sanctuary in this space. Depending on your natal charts, your personality as an individual, your current environment as it actively changes and shifts, you will likely have a different experience during any given moon phase, and that is okay. Next, with this new moon being in the sign of Virgo, us having 5 astral bodies in the sign of Virgo, we're in Virgo season. It's important to remember that Virgo is an earth sign. And so during this season, it can be incredibly fruitful to reconnect with Mother Earth. This can look like going on walks, visiting nearby parks, going on hikes, going to the nearest body of water, whether that's the ocean, a lake, and finding time to disconnect from the man-made world, that being the 4 walls that we find ourselves in much more these days thanks to the panorama. I also feel called to remind y'all that boredom, being in a space that is quiet with no stimuli outside of our environments, can really spark so much creativity and innovative ideas. What comes to mind is that whole trope that you see in movies and TV of the writer going away to their cabin to write their book. And a lot of that has to do with reducing stimuli to allow the intuition, the mind, the creativity to flow through. And so I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you have felt called to do that, here's your reminder. Here's the universe reiterating, go do the thing. And finally, let's dive into these new moon writing prompts. If you have your Auralign astrology planner, I invite you to turn to your August new moon writing prompt area, but if you don't have it, you don't need it. All you'll need will be a pen and paper. What we'll do is I'll show the writing prompts on the screen. When you see them, I invite you to pause the video, write them out, and at the end, we'll come back. What new moon intentions, new or existing, do you have for the lunar cycle ahead? What areas of your life do you find yourself the most meticulous, critical, or observant within, and why? What habits, beliefs, or attitudes come to mind that specifically stem from your childhood? How did they form? What is a fond memory you have from being in nature? How would you describe your relationship with nature? All right, y'all, if you made it to the end of this video, I invite you to comment 3 tree emojis to let me know that you made it. Or maybe comment if anything that I brought up or the writing prompts sparked any new ideas for you, or if any of it resonated with you. Either way, when you engage with my work, whether it's through comments or likes, you're not only telling the YouTube algorithms, the powers that be, that you enjoy content like this, but you help small but growing creators like myself continue to grow. And last time, don't forget to sign up for the Auralign newsletter to be informed as soon as pre-sales open. That way you can claim yours. And with all of that said, I will leave you with my favorite quote, and that is, be gentle with yourself, because life is about the journey and not the destination. All right.